A few years ago, my brother and I were recording at Moss Landing Cemetery near Watsonville, California, and I came across the grave of Rosalie Martinez and her 3-year-old daughter, Karen. They died together on August 23rd, 1975. A few feet away was the grave of Irma Guerrero and her son, Martin. They also died on August 23rd, 1975. So I showed the graves to my brother, and he said I should ask how they died. So I did. I said, what happened that day? On the drive home, before we listened to the recording, we speculated on all the different ways two mothers and their children could die together. Plane crashes and car accidents and murders. But that night, when we downloaded the tape recording, we heard we were driving over the railroad. Here is the EVP played twice. After we listened and heard we were driving over the railroad, we still didn't believe it. And I especially didn't believe it. But my brother and sister wanted me to investigate it, and they kept nagging me for a week to do that. Well, about 7 days later, I went down to the Wattsville Library, and I checked the news for August 23rd, 1975. And of course I found nothing because it's not like computers. It's not going to be on that day. So I checked August 24th, 1975. And I found this newspaper article. It turns out they did die driving over the railroad. It's pretty hard to explain what that felt like, but it was absolutely amazing. I remember looking at the screen and seeing the newspaper article and looking at the clock in the library and reading 12:36 p.m. So now I think that's the time I knew there was life after death. 12:36 p.m. That night I went back home with my newspaper article, my documentation, and showed it to my brother and called up my sister. And they were both blown away by it, because it's the last thing in the world you think can happen. So Paul decided the next day he would go down and record for himself to see if he could pick up anything. And he walked up to their graves and he said, I know you guys died on the railroad track. And while he says that, you can hear a train in the background. A train that Paul swears was not there. And as the EVP continues, and the train sound continues, mixed with the sound of the train sound and the wind is a reenactment of the event. You hear a woman scream, I don't want to die by this train. A train's coming, I'm scared. Here's the EVP played twice.
I know you guys died on the railroad tracks, hit by a train. All right, thank you, Irma. I know you guys died on the railroad tracks, hit by a train.
I think these two clips with the documentation is one of the best proofs of life after death that I've ever seen. I know for me, it's absolute proof. The odds that I would hear, and my brother would hear, and other people would hear, we were driving over the railroad, or my brother's reenactment clip, and just imagine we heard and hear what we're hearing, is so extraordinary to be ridiculous. So for all intents and purposes, this is proof of life after death. Thank you for listening.